The view as we're boating into town really has gotten so lovely, hasn't it? Like, it actually looks like we're boating into a proper settlement. There's actually something here. Ah. Greetings, strangers, and welcome back to Ghost Town SMP, the SMP where I am all alone. Things are really coming together around here. I would say there's a bit of a chill in the air, but tragically where I am, the weather is not dropping anytime soon. However, it is getting to be spooky season. And with Halloween coming up, it seems like a fitting time to have a bit of an outfit change. What do we think? I figured since it's becoming Halloween season, and because I've been obsessing over vampires recently, what better look to do than put on a vampire costume for Halloween? I do think this area here is the next one we need to work on in regards to helping how it looks when we're coming into town from over here. If we are boating into town, right now the first and main thing we see is the boat rental shop, and then we get a really good view of the bookshop as we come further around the corner. But I think this area here could do with having some more interesting stuff happening. Is you have to get all the way close to really see the stables, and that's blocked by a tree. So I think this area, it's a bit plain, it's a bit boring. It could use something to tie this area together and make it more impressive as we're coming into town. I'm kind of thinking I might make this area a little more beachy. Like, obviously, over here we have the manufactured beach, where we've got it all coarse dirt churned up because this was displaced a lot to make the docks. But I'm wondering if we can't make something a little bit more naturally beachy looking over here, which will need a couple changes. First of all, we'll need to put something here to make it look like this thing has a much more solid base to be sitting on sand. But that shouldn't be too big of a deal. But then the other thing is just stretching this sand up this way, and then figuring out what we want to do here. Now, I did say something about the idea of making this area into more of a market space to go along with the fruit stand. Like, the fruit stand's the first thing, and then over here we get into a market. Still not against that idea. I do think we need more, like, houses over here first. So the market will be something that gets put in later, in amongst whatever buildings we decide to put here. But I think for the most part, we just need to start figuring out what we're putting here and see how it goes. I suppose we're going to just get started on terraforming this area up and see how things go from there. So let's start the time lapse. Since this is the primary direction we wanted to change things from, I figured this would be the right direction to start looking at it from, now that we're done with the time lapses. And just look at how alive this place looks now. Gosh, this area looks so perfect. As you could tell, and there's the rain again. We'll deal with it. As you can tell, we have added 3 new buildings, and we've completely redone this area. So we've got our beachfront thing here. We did have it start transitioning from sand into packed mud. Just made sense of it would get to be a little bit coarser and rougher ground as we got away from the water. It would be more tightly packed. I find a lot of the beaches I've visited, up past the sand line, there's a lot of underbrush and just general bushes up, separating the beach from the rest of the land. So we've got some of that going on here. I don't know how much of this is going to stay, because we do still have the idea of potentially having a market come this direction. But for now, we've got these bushes here to fill in the area. We've got some little flowers. I'm probably going to add some more grass over time. But then, with that, we've also got these 3 lovely new buildings. These 2 are very much more beachfront vibes. This one's got a really strong foundation and support blocks, because you gotta do that on beachfront homes. You're in a flood zone, there could be hurricanes. You gotta have a solidly put together home. So that's what we've got going on here, is something that could handle being in a storm. This one we more went with the idea of it's up elevated off the ground, so if the flooding comes in, it shouldn't get all the way up to the building itself. But just 2 different approaches on how I've seen lots of different buildings. So I guess we'll go into this one first. I never see these doors being closed, but technically it has them. We've got a little table out here. Oh, I should put some chairs with the table, because this is supposed to be like the dining space. In here, we've got our kitchen. It's very compact. This whole house is very compact. It's a very small little place. We've got our seating area up here where you can just hang out and chat, and this is kind of more the cozy space. And then it's also got a little bit of a balcony out here, so you can just go out and watch the sunset. And then up here is the bedrooms. Well, the bedroom, it has 2 beds in it. And there's not a lot to it. It's a very small and cramped place, but the detail work I am really proud of all the various little things. Like this one, they've got a much simpler cooking setup than most of the other houses I've done, because they don't feel like they need more than that. We also have this little pond out to the back, which is just so cute. It has a little waterfall that goes down into an even smaller little pond area. It's nice. So the next house we have is currently being inspected by this guy. These aren't for sale currently. You'll have to come back later if you're looking for that. What have you managed to do with these leads? What the heck? Right, never mind. This house, I really love this house. This might be my favorite one I built today. We've got some carpets, we've got some shelving here, a little breakfast nook, a little tiny kitchen, and one of the things I'm really proud of with this is we've got this, it's the detail work again. We've got this exhaust vent, whatever you want to call this, the exhaust for the stove, and if you look outside, on the other wall of this, we actually have the rest of the exhaust, and it goes all the way up and out. So the exhaust pipe actually seems functional. Similarly, we've got all of these, like, drain pipes that go down to actual, like, drainage spots. This one drains down into this water below. Some of them just kind of go to a spot that doesn't go anywhere, but it is an actual little spot that exists. We've got these pipes that go to areas filled with water. This is a drain. And I really love how that turned out. Of course, then we've got our sitting area over here next to our really tiny kitchen. We've got this painting wall as we go up the stairs. And these doors can definitely not be left open. This is a very tiny living space. But we can go out onto this balcony here. Or if we close these doors, we can get past here and scoot around into a bedroom. Again, this is the only bedroom here. It does have space for 2 people to live here, but it's so cute and cozy. I've already said it, but this might be one of my favorite houses. Honestly, this might be one of my favorite houses I've built at all. It's just so cute. And it fits the space really well, and it makes for a nice thing to see when you're coming into town. I'm a big fan of this one. So the final house we did today is this one over here. We have our main entrance over here, which brings you into a little sitting area. I don't know why I decided to go with floating candles. Nothing else about this place was, like, mysterious and magical, but they're floating candles. I just liked it. But yeah, so we've got our sitting area here, and then some shelving for storage back there. And then if you come through this way, we have a sectioned off little kitchen. So we've got the kitchen and our dining space here. And then we can go outside onto this balcony, patio, whatever you want to call it. We can close this up, so this can all be closed in, or we can leave it open and have it open to the air. I think I'll close it for now. But so we've got this area here. I also went through with decorated pots in all of the houses. I forgot to point that out. But I always forget that I have pottery sherds that I could use for making more exciting pots. So I went through and used a whole bunch for this build, and they're just so cute. Then if we come inside, we actually have a way upstairs here. And this brings us to the first bedroom, which has 2 beds in it. I did test out all of the beds that are in kind of awkward spots, by the way. They do just dump you back over here, and you're just fine. You don't end up on the roof. Was worried about that, but it was fine. So, but then we've got storage here, a little extra storage over here, some bookcases, and there's actually another little tiny bedroom up here. And when I say tiny, I do mean tiny. There's literally 2 blocks of floor space. But it's super cute. These make such a great addition to the area. It really does feel so alive, and I like coming up with builds that are here for a reason, yes, but also builds that make sense in the space they're in. Like, this is waterfront. We've got to have houses that are built for being on the waterfront. Over here, the tide isn't as much of an issue, but we do still have to think about, well, it rains often here. The river is probably going to have occasions where it floods and overflows. And what do we have in place for that? What plans are there? For this build, it's just they've got a sturdy foundation in the water, and it kind of floods in here sometimes. It's not the best place, having been built. When it floods, this whole first floor gets flooded. But they also store stuff higher up so that they don't have to deal with it as much. They're less likely to have serious damage. They might have to repair the floors semi-often, since that's all wood, and it would probably get water damaged from flooding. And then over here we've got like I already showed off, this elevated flooring that hopefully keeps it out of the flood zone. And over here we've got really strong supports that can handle the flooding coming up this way, if it were to. And we're ready for storms here if they happen. Which, this is a beach area. This is waterfront all the way around here. We've got the river over here. I would anticipate having a lot of tropical storms and or hurricanes going on around here, you know? It just makes sense. So you've got to be prepared for that sort of thing. And the buildings have to be designed in a way that they could withstand that. The other thing you might have noticed that we went ahead and did is I've started plotting out where the paths are going to go. Obviously, this isn't going to be how I do the paths in this area. I haven't decided for sure if it's going to be the same path that I have throughout over there, or if we'll transition into something different for the town itself. But I haven't worked on that yet. And part of that is because the idea is this is going to be designed where the paths are informed by where the buildings are. It is helpful to sometimes have an idea of what that's looking like so far. So I did go ahead and start just using path blocks to start having an idea of that. So we made a path going this way, and now it goes down between these two houses. It comes out this way, and then it splits here, where it goes in front of here and around over to this house. It goes down into this beach area, in case this is where we end up doing a market. And then it swings around this way to go in between these houses, and then it heads all the way from here down to the center area. And then we, again, marked off a little bit that heads up this way for the beachfront market area, potentially. However, those aren't the only two reasons to have paths heading this way. There is also this little area between the trees here, because eventually I'm hoping to put in a path that goes this way to a little bridge, so that we can have a path that leads us to this village out here. I figure having infrastructure to get to the other nearby settlements might be a good idea. That is this part done. I think this is going to have to be where we call it. I definitely want to get some more spooky stuff going on to go with our Halloween vibe. We've finished off this beachy look, and maybe this will be the end of our, beachy stuff for a little while. We've done this, and now we can kind of have this be our wrapping up the end of summer, and then we can start doing more spooky stuff, and then working into our winter whatever we end up doing. Yeah, I think there's a lot more we can do for sure on the Halloween front. I just gotta come up. I've got some ideas cooking. I'd love to hear if you guys have any ideas for Halloween stuff you want to see me do. But I want to thank you all for hanging out with me in this ghost town. As always, I really appreciate y'all keeping me company. I will catch y'all later.